Devin here with Ground Force Metal Detecting. I've got a question as to which detector I like better out of the Minelab Manticore or the XP Deus II. Well, first, let me go into what equipment I have as far as those two detectors, okay? I have the XP Deus II that came with a 9-inch coil, and I have the HF2 coil, and I have the stereo headphones so I can get the stereo multi-processing. On the Manticore, I have the 11-inch coil that it came with and the M9 9-inch coil, which basically hasn't come off the detector since I bought it. It's that much better than the 11. Um, so here's the thing, all right? Asking me which one of those I like better is kind of like saying, do you like a Phillips screwdriver or a straight screwdriver better? They're two different tools that do different jobs in different ways, all right? Kind of like you have Apple phone people and Android phone people. There are people who just prefer Minelab and people who just prefer XP. Well, so let me get into the kind of my opinion on it, okay? And after, I've had both these detectors for, you know, several years on the XP and about 1 year on the Manticore. And if it's, let's first talk about weather, all right? Is headphones on the XP Deus II are highly water resistant, and the XL, the bigger headphones, can be submerged up to 1 meter briefly. The Minelab headphones that come with it, I wouldn't even let rain fall on those. Okay, they're not water resistant. In fact, my next Minelab purchase is going to be that WM09 wireless module that you can plug in your own waterproof wired headphones to, just so I don't have to worry about that. Um, so if it's raining or going to rain right now as it stands, I'm taking the XP, okay? If it's, let's take weather out of the equation. Let's just say it's a nice day. If I'm detecting for, let's say, old silver coins, which I do a lot. I'm a silver coin guy. Okay, I go for the silver coins. It's what I like to find. It's one of my favorite things. I'm taking the Manticore just because the target ID and the sounds differentiate better among high conducting coins. Okay, I can tell a copper penny from a clad dime from a silver coin with the Manticore more reliably than the XP, just because the Deus II, the XP Deus II, tends to squash high conductors up into the high VDIs. It tends to squash them together a little bit when you get into high VDIs, especially at high frequency. Lower frequencies, not as bad. Mono frequency on a lower scale, not as bad. Super high frequency, especially with that HF2 coil, it squashes the VDIs. Now, it finds it. It finds it all. It finds the smallest of targets, and so does the Minelab. Depending on how you have the Manticore set up, it'll find the tiniest of targets. Maybe not quite as tiny as that HF2 coil. The HF2 coil probably has the absolute best separation if I'm purely going for separation, but you're going to sacrifice some depth. That HF2 coil is deeper than you think, but it's not as deep as the Manticore, and it's not as deep as the 9-inch Deus II coil. But it's also, it's nothing to be joked around about. It works great. I like them both. I like both detectors, and I'll alternate. If I'm going to a tot lot looking for jewelry, okay, usually I'm taking the XP Deus II with the HF2 coil, as it doesn't miss a target. I mean, it's it's on it, all right, and I'm not going deep in a tot lot. So, you know, and when I say it doesn't go as deep, the HF2 coil still goes 6, 7, 8 inches deep on small targets. Okay, it's just, you know, it's not going Manticore deep. So that's it. You know, if somebody said, okay, Devin, you have to make a decision, you got to get rid of one, I'm probably keeping the Manticore. Okay, I don't know, you know, it is my preference. It is my preference. I prefer the Manticore over the XP Deus II. After, you know, I get excited every time XP comes out with something that's game changing, and you know, the HF2 coil, I was excited at that. I bought that. The headphones, I bought those. I'm all excited. I don't see any of it as game changing. They're just different tools in the toolbox, and you know, they're good. They're good for their purpose. They're good for certain situations. Just like I said, you know, they're specialized tools. The Manticore kind of does it all. Yeah, you know, if it weren't for the headphones, you know, being afraid of the headphones getting wet, I'd probably grab that like 90% of the time. But anyway, that's the answer, guys. They're both awesome detectors, probably equal, definitely equal in quality, equal in you know, performance. They just have different functions depending on your settings, depending on your situation. Just like everything in metal detecting, right? Everything depends on your situation in metal detecting. Have a great day, guys. Get out there and get some finds. Have a good one, and swing away.